What's going on, people? Welcome to the match preview special episode. In this one, we are live. So if you're watching this on replay, make sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. There isn't enough time to record it and post it because the game's on Wednesday. And I'll be honest, this is a massive game. And I'm joined by AJ, and potentially we could be having T on as well a bit later on down the show. As always, like, subscribe, and comment. Let's try to reach 5,000 subscribers. Hit 100 likes as usual. AJ, look, good to have you here, especially after the West Ham game. We've done a match reaction, and the next day, literally, we're here talking about the Bournemouth game because it's happening that quick, and then we're going to be talking about Liverpool. But just quickly, before we actually speak about Bournemouth and Palace, how big is this game? Not for Palace, but for Roy Hodgson going into it. Because I asked this question on Twitter, and some people saying that he should get sacked if we don't win this. Some people saying no, because who else we got? But for you, is there a risk that if we don't get a result, that this could be Roy's last game, or do you think he'll still stay on?
Well, basically, first on that first comment, it's dawned on me that I probably see D more than I see some of my own family members, to be fair, because of the way I was streaming.
Bro.
We're basically family now, but we want to be one of us. But in all seriousness, I don't think Steve Parish has the bottle to pull the trigger. I think if it was any other manager, I think he definitely would have done it at this point, or this would have been the sort of be all and end all. I think Roy could easily lose this game and still get the whole Christmas schedule before they do any plans, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think the ownership has a plan. The ownership you can't even sit the ownership in the same room. You can't even get them on the same Zoom call because of the relationships and tensions that have been reported. For me personally, I have kind of sort of doubled down and said, I think I am at that stage of Roy out. I think, I do consider the way that Vieira was treated in comparison. Roy's in a much worse condition, and it just seems to be that it's like he can't inspire the team or the club. Do I think that's the situation long term? Wednesday will be a very clear indicator of that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you also got to give Roy a little bit of a blight because there have been injuries. He hasn't really had a full squad. He did have a good start, but at the same time, I'm losing faith almost weekly. And I think the beginning of the end for me was the comments about the kids. As soon as he sort of started coming out and saying very strange things in the media, which weren't particularly warranted, or I don't think he particularly articulated himself or came across the right way, I think that was the beginning of the end for me personally. I don't speak for the fans. I don't speak for anyone else but myself. But on my opinion, we need this game is so important. We need to get 3 points out of it. I think even a point ain't going to be enough. But I don't think the way with our ownership and the way things are, I just don't think the club's got a plan, even if we did decide to go ahead and sack Roy anyway. So might be one of them scenarios where it's better with the devil. But at the same time, I would love to see a result or some sort of reaction, or some sort of 3-4-0 win to kind of get the spirits up at the same time. Maybe that might get the fans and everybody back on side a little bit. Hey, nothing to suggest that Roy can't change my mind either. So my fingers are crossed, but I don't have a lot of faith in what Roy's got available and in terms of what's going to happen.
That's the problem that I have with potentially sacking Roy as well. And I do think that even if we don't win this game, I think there'll be even more pressure on him and more serious considerations. I know what you said about Steve Parish, but I think he would definitely think about a bit more, especially with the games that we got coming up. But for me, it's very unlikely to see Roy get sacked after this game. And if Roy was to get sacked, the biggest concern that I have is there are so many managers out there in the world, of course, that you could go and try to bring in. But I just don't see us attracting any half-decent managers. I just don't. I'm seeing the names of Paddy McCarthy being mentioned, Steve Cooper if he was to leave Forest. But for me, if it's Steve Cooper or Paddy McCarthy, then that doesn't excite me. I'd probably keep it as it is because I don't think something drastically is going to change. That's how I see it. Whereas if you gave me other names, then I would have serious consideration. But for me, this is a game. It's very important. It might be any other game they might think in December, but with the games that we've got coming up and with the results that we've had recently, I think the West Ham game should give us a bit of momentum going into this game. But we really need to get a result here, because after this game, I mean, we've got Liverpool on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. And then after Liverpool, it doesn't get any easier. We got some difficult run of games coming up, and this is the last game. Before that, we got Man City after Liverpool, then we got Brighton, then we got Chelsea, then Brentford, Everton in the FA Cup, and then Arsenal. We could potentially, if we don't beat Bournemouth, I would not be shocked in the Premier League if we don't get another win till the 30th of January. The 30th of January, not December, January. We're talking roughly about 2 months' time. And that could be Vieira level type of bad. And the reason for that is because of the fixtures. I mean, Vieira had it as well. Liverpool, City, Brighton, Chelsea, Brentford, Arsenal. Like, how many points do you realistically expect from that when you do have a fully strength squad, when you are playing great football? And we're not really doing that right now. Of course, it could go both ways. Maybe we get results, but Bournemouth is significant. So do you think it is a must-win, AJ, based on the upcoming fixtures I said after Bournemouth?
Yes, 100%, because I think it's going to take the ease off the pressure of us as a club, because, we're not just Roy Hodgson FC or whatever said player of C. For the sake of the club, we do need to get a victory here, because I just do not have enough faith in what's going to happen in December. I mean, we'll be lucky to get 3 points in December, to be honest. I'm not even including the FA Cup element into that as well. I think we have got a very, very crazy December ahead, and even just to boost the morale, it will buy Roy some time. It will get the club, or more importantly, the squad in a position where, they might be able to sneak a potential point or even a potential 3 points within those fixtures. But December's not looking promising anyway. So I think we need to kind of put our fingers out here and use our common sense. Yes, take it a game at a time, but this is a very important game for so many reasons. Because as far as I'm concerned, I have looked at the fixtures, and it probably does look like it's going to be January before we even start considering or looking at a win. Otherwise, all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah. And Michael saying Roy the boy is a man for the season. Just let him do his job. No one will come. And we've had comments saying it's not looking good, and Henry saying that this is definitely a must-win game as well. Twister saying Palace can get points from all the teams mentioned. They all have their own vulnerabilities. I understand that, but the way that we've been playing recently, it's very unlikely. Then again, this is Palace. You don't really know what to expect. But look, the Bournemouth game, if we do end up beating them, I think that gives a bit of a boost. But yeah, look, I think this is a significant game for Palace. I think it's a game where we really need to try and get a win. We'll talk about score predictions towards the end of the show. But I don't know if we will go get the win. But look, AJ, let's talk about West Ham, because West Ham, it wasn't all that bad. I thought the defense was solid. The midfield was good with Richards there. Maybe we could have done a bit more in attack, especially in terms of creating a bit more chances. But, some of the positives to take into this game, the defense, especially against Bournemouth. I spoke to a Bournemouth fan. If you're watching this now on replay, the opposition preview should be posted by Tuesday, 5 p.m. UK time. So make sure to check that out, where we get a lot of good insight into Bournemouth's season so far. And the Bournemouth fan, Sam, that I was talking to, he was saying how they've had like 50 shots that they took in the last 3 games. So they've been firing in attack. That's one positive, I guess, going into this game, right? The defense, because he actually looks solid against West Ham. We actually look like...
I think, funny enough, Bournemouth looked like they finally started picking up form. It took them a while to start sort of getting there, but you're right. In the past couple of games, they've looked like they're hit now. They're finally sort of putting things together. They've got their new signings, which seem to be bedding into their team. I think, does Solanke worry me? No, but you got to think about Semenyo, you got to think about Kluivert. Very talented players. 1 or 2 of them that we've been linked with in the past historically as well. So I'm not convinced that they're a joke. I think Bournemouth's definitely hit a bit of form recently. They are quite a way away from us as well. So another thing you've got to take into consideration with this next game is it could potentially be a 6-pointer to keep us away from that danger zone. So, for me, Yeah, Bournemouth aren't exactly the Bournemouth that were misbehaving at the beginning of the season. They had a very, very poor start, and it was looking like their manager potentially could have been in line to get sacked. But they've definitely got things going in the right direction, and that also concerns me. I'm going to be honest. It's something that I need to be worried about and concerned. It's no joke.
Yeah, and this is the thing now with the lineup. If Schlupp is back, do we think that Roy could potentially change it by including Schlupp there? And if so, who goes out the side? Is it Chris Richards? Because I thought Richards actually had a very decent game in midfield.
As far as Roy Hodgson's concerned, if Schlupp is fit, he starts. Like you and I both know that. We don't even need to get a bit.
For who?
We don't even need to think about that. There is no way. All right, put it this way: I'm willing to bet money, cash, that if Schlupp is fit, he starts.
He had personal
It's
problems.
it's a non-brainer for me. I don't even have to think about that. It's just inevitable. Water's wet, sky's blue. Like if Schlupp is fit, Roy starts him.
So who do you think for, based on what we saw against West Ham?
He'll probably drop. He would probably, knowing what I've seen from Roy, he'll probably drop Richards back onto the bench. He would then put Hughes back in midfield next to Lerma, and then he'd either put Ayew in that weird number 10 role, or he'd put Schlupp there. The man loves Schlupp. Like Roy Hodgson hates kids and loves Geoffrey Schlupp. Like it's inevitable. I don't even have to think about that. All you got to do is tell me the first preview is fit, and I know he's starting.
Do you think it's fair on Richards to get dropped after that performance?
No, I don't think it's fair at all. I think it'd be actually very disrespectful, considering, from my understanding, he was voted player of the match. To be fair, so congratulations to him anyway. But I saw enough out of Chris Richards to see competency. He seemed comfortable. He's overdue a set of games as well. I think he's a very brilliant player. And the fact that he's been able to showcase that he's got something else to his game as well, I was very happy with his performance on the weekend. So why would any logical manager drop him as a result of that? But then at the same time, we're talking about Roy Hodgson there.
Will Hughes, do you think Will Hughes could do a better role there than Chris Richards in terms of ball progression as well? Because I think Richards was very good defensively. Not that
yes, I do, because I know well enough that Will Hughes will get stuck into tackles and put himself about, keep the passes simple, and he can bring the ball forward a little bit. Well, not even a little bit, but probably better than Richards. The reality is the only reason why Richards outshone Hughes is Hughes has got no business playing at number 10, and we've said that before. But if Hughes had played in that role, and maybe, I don't know, whatever said player had played in that number 10 role on the weekend, yes, the result potentially would have been different, but I feel that Hughes would have been more than competent and would have put on a decent show anyway.
Yeah, I said it as well in the match reaction. I don't think Hughes is a number 10. Then again, if I had to pick, if it's not Eze, who could that number 10 be? For me, I think Ayew probably fits that role better than anyone else. I don't even think Schlupp is a number 10. Then again, I don't think Schlupp is a winger either. But yeah, Hughes as number 10, we're not using him to the best of his abilities. I think at best he's a squad player. He's a very good squad player to have. But we relied on him a lot so far this season, maybe due to injuries as well. But he's been playing more games than I expected, and I probably wished for as well. And that I guess you can't really blame that on Roy, because we haven't got a squad depth. I mean, if it's not Hughes, who else do we play? Jairo World? We've seen the story with him. Whoever it is, he doesn't really get a chance. So I think it has to be Will Hughes. But for me, there isn't much that we need to change. I think the defense was solid. I think the midfield is just literally Chris Richards or Will Hughes. But if Geoffrey Schlupp is fit, I think it will be Chris Richards that dropped to the bench. Will Hughes as like a number 6 next to Lerma. And there might be Schlupp or Ayew as the 10, which I'll be honest is not the most exciting. But I think when you look at what we have right now, it's a bit predictable. We have Elise in attack. And when you look at the bench, I would have loved to see the likes of Ahamada. Not even if it's not França, because maybe França, you can have the argument that he's not ready. But Ahamada's always looked ready, and I would have liked to see him in a bit more of an advanced role, because I know he can dribble the ball. I know he's got that flair in him. Right now, what I'm worried about, AJ, is that we've got one player in Elise who's very good, but it's like Zaha FC all over again. There isn't anyone else that's really the danger man. And I guess that's because Eze is out, but we've got some players on the bench that we could change it up in. And we've been struggling at home. So Do you think Ahamada or Franca? For me, Franca, no. But Ahamada, anyways. Do you think he should get the nod if Schlupp still ain't fit?
The only way that potentially might happen is in the example of because he might be thinking about Liverpool on the weekend, because of what would that be? 3 games in 7 days?
Yeah.
Which might be a lot. So he might, with Bournemouth being considered a much weaker opposition than a Liverpool kind of team, there is a hand of hope that he may actually give one of those kids a chance. Maybe he might make a couple of changes. That's more of me trying to be logical and hanging on to hope at the same time. So maybe he might end up playing him because he speaks quite allegedly speaks quite highly of Ahamada and Franca about them coming up to speed and getting there. And like I said on the match reaction yesterday, he's got to give him a chance at some point. At some point, he has to sink or swim and throw them into it and see what they can do.
We're joined by T as well. T, what are you saying, bro? How's it going?
What's going on, man?
Yeah, man, we're good. We're basically doing an intervention. It doesn't feel like a preview because we've got a massive game coming up against Bournemouth where we thought might as well do it live because we haven't got enough time. We haven't got enough time to record it and literally post it out because we've got an opposition preview to go out tomorrow as well. But just quickly before we get your thoughts on the players, and so how big is this game, do you think, for Palace? Just your thoughts on it, because I think it's significant.
I mean, I think it's significant enough because we need a win. We need to get 3 points. I mean, it was good to get the point away at West Ham, but we need to see 3 points coming through here, man. So I think it's an important game.
Yeah, we're just talking about players right now, and we're talking about Ahamada, maybe squad rotations, and Chris Richards as well. For you, do you think Roy might be forced into rotations due to the fatigue and the injury crisis that we've had recently? The interesting part is now, I don't know if anyone's seen this that's watching it, but after the game, Roy spoke about Eze's injury, and I'll be honest, he doesn't really help himself here because he said that the medical team saying that Eze will be out longer than Eze wants to be out for, basically along them lines. And I mean, there's clearly a disagreement with the medical team. And when you look at our injury crisis that's been going on, are we rushing these players? So when you look at all things considered, do you think Roy might have to make changes and rotations even in this game due to the amount of games that we got coming up?
I don't think so because Roy don't rotate.
Like he's gonna say, I don't care if you got your medical degree, whatever you got. I've been manager for 20 years, and he's gonna be playing.
Look, our squad rotation will be the return of Jeff Schlupp against Bournemouth.
He's at his rest. He's going to be back for us.
I don't see him. I mean, I don't see him changing. I mean, but it's some interesting components though. Like it was okay. Go with me on this. Was Chris Richards at CDM? Was that the rotation? And then
not really. No, you know why? Because Schlupp was out due to personal reasons, and Roy did emphasize that it was very last minute, and Richards done a very.
That's what I'm saying. I'm still saying so Chris Richards was the rotation.
Yeah, so I guess Schlupp had this extra time to rest up now.
Yeah, so now when Schlupp's ready for Wednesday, Schlupp's back in there, and we're back to seeing a midfield of Schlupp, Lerma, and then Hughes. And we'll see the same attacking 3, and we'll see the same back 4.
I want to quickly get your thoughts here, and then we're going to talk about the league table and a bit more on Bournemouth as well. If we don't win this game, personally, I've been asking this question around, and some people have different opinions based on different reasons. Do you think Roy's job could be on the line due to the amount of games, difficult games that we got coming up? And I read out the fixture list, and we could easily see Palace not getting a win till the 30th of January unless something drastic happens and we beat the likes of Liverpool or City and them sides.
It's about the same. This is around the same time of year where we cut loose Vieira when he's had his struggles. So, I mean, if you don't start seeing results and we start to pile up the losses, or in Vieira's case, pile up the ties, the draws. Ain't no telling. I mean, my thing is, with what Parrish gets from Roy, with the choice of him as manager, I don't see him cutting bait early just because he knows that Roy is just going to deal with whatever he gets and he's going to run with it, like type thing. So I don't know, man. But if it gets bad enough, I don't think anybody is untouchable.
Yeah, but you don't think after the Bournemouth game there's a chance of him getting sacked? You think he'll still stay on anyways?
I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a lot of people upset if we lose this Bournemouth match. I'll just tell you that.
I mean, there's a lot of people upset regardless, and I think this is what it comes down to, really. I know we're talking about Bournemouth and the preview for it, but I was talking to a Bournemouth fan, and despite their struggles, he's actually been looking forward to every game because of the type of football that they play, and it's exciting. They've been improving every game. With Palace fans, I've seen some Palace fans say it on socials like that they don't enjoy watching Palace. Even when we're winning, it's not really enjoyable. And I understand it. I understand it because even me personally, maybe I need to check my vitamins and my minerals and make sure everything's right in place. But I feel tired every time I watch Palace. I do.
Yeah,
I do.
It's a grind. It's a grind.
Yeah. And I shouldn't feel like that watching a game that's meant to be of entertainment, of course. But it just doesn't feel right. And I think that's what it is. It's not just the fact that we're not getting results. It's just the performances. They're not giving any sign of hope or excitement to look forward to the next game because you know what to really expect. I think that's the problem, AJ. I don't know how you feel about it, the performances despite the results.
That's a very good question. I think, it's not even that we're predictable anymore. It's just you just don't really anticipate anything huge coming. I think we had Elise come back into the squad, and then we had Eze, and then everyone kind of got their hopes up, and then Eze kind of got injured, and it kind of just made things a bit flat. I think it's very similar to what you said at the beginning of the show in terms of the new Zaha FC is now the Elise FC. It's like he gets the ball, he's excited, I'm up on my feet, and then everyone else on the pitch, I'm just sort of sitting there like, okay. You kind of just, I think with the, I'm sorry to bring this example up, with the Vieira sort of season or Vieira times, we would go down, but you knew we were going to turn up and do something or push for something. And I don't feel like we've had that for a period of time. Although, in Roy's defense, when he came through the door to save our season as such, we looked like a different outfit in terms of how we played against Leicester. When he came on, we played against Leicester, and that version of Crystal Palace was insane. But it is gone. I felt like it has gone quite stale very quickly, and the vibe I'm getting when I'm walking up to a match day hasn't been good for a few games. The gameplay has not been amazing, but I will give Roy that allowance because, in all fairness, he's not had the proper starting efficient players to do that. But there is a caveat to that as well, and I might even be contradicting my own point. We do have some exciting young players that are on that bench sitting there, kicking rocks essentially. So that's where we might have to kind of, or maybe Roy might have to kind of just figure it out. But the thing is, are you willing to give up playing pretty football to get 3 points every week or the odd little 1 point there? Or do you do the other style and just say, just fuck it, just go for expressing yourselves and then potentially risk the points? Can't win. He can't win in that example because he's not the type to be able to produce one or the other. Sorry, one plus the other. He can only seem to do one or the other.
Yeah, and I at the start of the season, even before the season kicked off, I think the two things I was looking at is how would we react when that momentum is gone from last season. And I've said it as well. My theory is that we're slowly losing. I don't think it was horrific under Vieira. Of course, we didn't win games, but there were elements to our game that was still solid. And I think that possession side of the game is pretty much gone now because we lost all the momentum, and we're just basically reverting back to Roy ball from Vieira ball by the game, and it's slowly happening. And I think that's why it's been more of a struggle. And I think the peak of Palace under Roy was that we had that positives under Vieira when he first joined, and Roy brought his ideas as well. And when you combine both things together, it was fantastic. The last 10 games was very good to watch for majority of them anyways, because we actually played some attacking football and defended well as a team as well. But now it's a bit more let's make sure we don't concede. Let's, don't put too many numbers forward, and it's just same old, same old. But let's look at the league table, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. Right now we sit 12th in the Premier League, and if we was to lose, we could. I mean, it wouldn't really happen due to goal difference, but we could go down to 16th. Win could bring us up to 10th. So we're basically stuck between 10th to 16th. And I guess what's so important as well is that Bournemouth is another side that's, below us, which makes me think that it's another game where we simply cannot lose. Of course, we need to win ideally, but if we lose, then Bournemouth 16th, they're going to be level on points with Palace. It's only literally goal difference. And then what? You got Luton coming behind you and all them games, and then you got Liverpool, Man City. That's why I think this game is significant, T.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's one of those matches once again where we're talking about the fact that we should be going and getting 3 points, playing as a team below us in the table. You need to, in our situation, you need to be winning the matches that you are expected to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's tough enough for us to pull off impressive victories against some of those top sides, but against the ones that are below us in the table, man, you got to come out and you got to perform. We've already had multiple times this season already that we played against teams below us, and they've either outperformed us or have been on the same level as us, and we haven't gotten it done. So
I agree. I agree with you there as well. And AJ, just quickly on Bournemouth. I mean, they are 16th, but recently they have been picking up, or they have been performing much better. They got, draw against Villa, just, the previous game that they had. And then, there are some other notable games of late that they've had. They beat Newcastle 2-0. And that Newcastle side that they beat was the same side that faced pretty much against PSG, against Man United, and Bournemouth managed to beat them 2-0. They beat Sheffield United 3-1. The biggest defeat was 4th of November, about a month ago, which was against Man City, which was 6-1. But slowly they've been picking up form.
Yeah, they were essentially rock bottom. I remember the first few games of the season, and they couldn't buy a win for anything, to be fair. But like I said earlier on in the show, they have found some kind of decent form recently, and they look like a different animal right about now. Everybody seems to be turning up in that squad. And I tell you what, Antoine Semenyo versus Joe Ward is going to be a very, very testing Wednesday for me. I might end up in cardiac arrest, come the end of that game, because that's one battle that worries me. And on the other side, they got Clivert. So depending on what version of Mitchell we get, that could potentially be an issue as well. And then they got a whole heap of other problems and stuff to worry about amongst the squad. This is why it's very important we have to win that, because we need to get that 6-point gap. What you care about us pushing up the table or finishing 11th, as we often wholeheartedly joke about the 11th, 12th bracket, but considering what we're about to walk into come this Christmas period, we need to get that 6-point gap on Bournemouth. No questions asked. Cannot afford anything less.
Yep.
Yeah. And as you said, Semenyo spoke on our position preview. And yeah, he's been on form. Solanke as well. And look, in general, in attack, they've been on form. And I don't know about you, T, but the positive I have is that defensively we weren't that bad against West Ham. I mean, there were improvements there in comparison to the previous games. But then against Semenyo versus Joe Ward, is it a case of asking Elise to track back and help him out as well? Because that just looks dangerous. And we were linked with him.
100%. Like, Elise is definitely going to have to track back and help. Like, I mean, as solid as we looked in that match, like, that's just one match. And we can't forget the fact that we've seen some drab performances against very, very lowly talented squads. And it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, Joe Ward got dragged by a guy who had never scored a Premier League goal against Luton. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, I mean,
It's our weakness, the fullbacks, I think. Anyways, Mitchell's better than Joe Wood, of course, but we've seen it. The team's been targeting our fullbacks week in, week out, and I don't think it's a surprise. I called it at the start of the season. It's pretty obvious. I would do the same as well if I was opposition.
Yeah, I mean, you foolish not to. I mean, in the fact that number one, at least maybe you could say one side of our fullbacks is subpar defensively. And both sides, by a lot of people's accounts, are subpar going forward. So yeah, it's definitely can be seen as a weak spot for us. And I mean, if I play us, I'm attacking Joe Ward. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, because it just puts so much pressure on other people too. It brings other people out of position. It gets opportunities for your guys because they have to compensate for him. So.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about score predictions, because I know there's a few questions. I want to answer them as well as we're doing it live. So I know some people are sending their questions. So let's bring up the prediction table, and we have a change because T, you're number 3 now. Based on the prediction, me and AJ got it right. So we got the table. I'm on 10 points. AJ is on 8, and T is on 6. I mean, he's been struggling for form recently, just like the team he sports, I guess. And Stan, of course, is on 4. We didn't get his prediction last week, and I don't know if he'll get it this week as well. But look, let's talk about score predictions. I'll be honest. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see us beating them. I just don't. I don't know why. I just don't. Then again, I don't see us losing. So I'm going to start off with my prediction. Let us know your predictions in the comment section down below as well. I'm going to go for 1-0. 1-0 Palace. I could see a tight game like that. What was that?
1-1 Palace?
Oh, 1-0 Palace. Basically, Palace have a bigger chance of winning than Bournemouth. That's why it's 1-0 Palace. Palace have the chance of getting a win if I had to pick both of the teams. So I'm going to go 1-0 with Palace, maybe, pulling it out. But I just don't have that confidence. I just don't. I think it'll be another difficult game. AJ, talk to me. You got the prediction right. You predicted the same 1-0 against West Ham, just like I did, and we got the same score and outcome, right? So what do you expect in this one?
You going to go with your boy D again? You going to go with him again?
You want to copy me? You want to go to the
I mean, if it keeps me above you, mate, then you know how it goes. But
fair enough.
I'm going to go with 2-1 Palace. It's a must win. We have to get something. 2-1
Palace. Jeez. All right. Fair enough. It's a must win. So 2-1 Palace. T, talk to me. Age is above you now on the table, so I guess you have to play it smart. There's still a long season ahead, but man.
It only takes one. It only takes one match. It only takes one match.
Dig deep, mate. Dig deep, mate. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna go 1-0 Palace with a Roy special.
1-0 Palace. All right, we got people back in Palace, which is good to see. Funny enough, I'm the only one that didn't predict the win. Tim's saying go for 2-0. As a Dino saying 1-0 Royal special. Cody agrees as well with the 1-0 as well. Hey, there's a few 1-0s, and that's very much a possibility. But I'm just worried about Bournemouth's attack, considering how good they've been recently in terms of creating opportunities. But then again, we've got. I mean, if you asked us about a month or 2 months ago, you would say we had one of the best defenses in the Premier League in terms of Gay and Anderson. So if we reach the levels that they reach, then we should be able to keep them out. But then again, that's a big if. But let us know what you think in the comment section down below as well. Let's go through some of the questions before we wrap up. Henry had a question saying, don't know what you think, but our home atmosphere has been lacking. Regardless of what you think of a manager, ownership, we need to be together as a fan base is what we're best known for. Thoughts? I don't know about you, AJ. Of course, it's a bit harder for you to answer this. But the home atmosphere is lacking for 2 reasons. Well, we saw it, first of all. When the HF wasn't there for the first half against Forest, I think it was. I can't remember what game it was. It showed that no one else was willing to sync up. And second of all, I think the biggest factor of it is the fact that the football on the pitch and what's happening off the field with Palace doesn't give much excitement to the fan base. And without sounding too spoiled, I think that is why it's not as electric, because as you can see, like there's nothing really to be excited about right now based on the performance and the results that we've been getting. And I think that impacts it off the field. But for you, our home atmosphere, what have you made of it?
Oh, good question. Yeah, the thing is, you're not really giving us anything to cheer for. Our home form has not been it's been pretty crap this season, to be fair. The thing is, I have to kind of defend the fans on this one a little bit. Like, you're lucky we're even turning up. Like some of these games that we've actually been having to part with, because we're battling sub-zero temperature out here, -3, -2, and all that business. You got man traveling after work on a Tuesday. Well, as a Wednesday night it will be in the next couple of days, and I'm not seeing anything cook on the pitch. Like, what am I going to do and start? There is a bit of, it's just very uninspiring. So it's very hard for you to get up and cheer. Don't get up and sing glad all over at the beginning and go crazy at that poor linesman that's got to stand near me and whatever. But generally, if you're not even trying to show us anything on the pitch, the fans ain't got nothing to get behind. What is the point of putting all your efforts and all your chanting and everything into a team that, I wouldn't even say a team, that's something that's just not really inspiring us right now. And, we're getting a lot of the same old. Roy's sticking with a few players in that squad that isn't really up to scratch as far as I'm concerned for various different reasons.
Yep.
And some of the football we're playing is very predictable. That's not always going to get you out of your seat. I can't speak for everyone on that one once again, but when you're not giving the people anything to cheer, what are they supposed to cheer and support and back? That's it.
It's not just under Roy as well. You can make that argument under Vieira as well when we weren't winning games and we were struggling. Like, there's so much you could cheer for. I think the reflection, what you see on the pitch, it goes off the pitch as well. And right now, I think the club is in such a weird position, and I would say I think it is toxic right now. Because of some people backing certain owners and others not, and some people saying Roy in, Roy out. It's just like we're not. And funny enough, I asked a Bournemouth fan, and without spoiling the whole video, and he said, like, what are Crystal Palace really trying to do? Like, that's the general perception. If a Bournemouth fan is saying that, and if Palace fans are saying that, then there's clearly something wrong, because I don't think our vision is clear. Which of course reflects out on the stands as well. Look, let's answer this question from Chris as well. T, you can take this one. What's your feeling behind France? So he's been making news recently about his lack of game time.
I want to see him play. Like, I want to see the kid play. I don't know how to say it. I mean, we spent $20 million on this kid to ride the bench. I mean, now granted, when he wasn't healthy, I understood that. When he first came back from being hurt and, he went through his process and he's playing his academy matches, I get that. But he's not really being integrated at all. And now we just we've got 40 million pounds of investments that's just not moving for us, not doing anything for us. It doesn't make sense. And it kind of goes back to what AJ was talking about. As a fan, I go to matches or to games, whatever you want to call it. I go to see certain people play, or with the anticipation or the hope of seeing certain people play. I'm not turning up to Selhurst Park week after week in rain and cold to see Jeff Schlupp play left wing. I'm not doing it. D, if you came to America,
rain and cold. To be fair, that's sometimes a question turning up in the summer when it's hot as well. It's just
D, you're not making your way to a San Antonio Spurs game to not see Wemby play.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You want to see your exciting young players play. But do you think he's ready to play? From what we've seen, the limited amount of games he's played for under 21s as well. There's that question as well. That's why I think Alhamada. The question should be about Alhamada more than France. I hear France.
But the thing is, regardless of all of that, these kids aren't going to get better. They're not going to flourish. They're not going to show their talents without getting the chance to be out there. I mean, do you think that what was PSG thinking when they put Warren Zaire Emery out there at 16 years old, or
they're not proven. There's a lot of young players that play top level teams that are not proven. And how did they get opportunity? You get opportunity by playing. Like,
you get a chance to play. Like, And let's not act like this dude hasn't been in, well, both of them, Hamada and Franca, different leagues, but they played at the top level. Like these aren't like these kids. These guys are coming from like
The academy.
the academy. They're not coming from the championship. Yeah. These guys were made professionals before they came here. Hamada started an entire Bundesliga season in midfield before he came over here and played really well. So it's not like these dudes are unproven. They just haven't played in the Premier League yet.
Do you know what's mad with the France thing, right? Do you know what's kind of mad with the whole France thing, right? How many young or even Palace fans in general do you reckon have 11 France on the back of their shirt? I've seen a lot.
And there's probably
there is a lot of hope. Yep. And, you know, there's a lot of, I'd say, pressure as well. But there is a lot of hope and a lot of hype on France. So when we finally signed him and got it on the dotted line and beat all of those other super teams to get him over the line, there was a lot of hype. Even his first training session, he was skipping past 100 man and doing a whole bag of Brazilian Joga Benito madness. But
the club's the
problem is we don't have a manager that's going to back
when you join. Even now, when you go to Selhurst Park, you see it on the wall. You see France pictures. Like, you bought him for not that cheap for Palace anyways, around 20 million. You got this Ballon d'Or clause at the end of it as well. You got his photos all over, you know, the walls near Selhurst Park.
Yeah.
There was this massive, you know, celebration when he first joined Palace and the way that the club done the media. So the club basically portrayed him as one of the star players or main man to come through. Like, look at this youngster coming over from Brazil. But it's not really translated to what we've seen so far on the pitch, of course, due to injuries as well. But I think that plays a part. The way that the club showed Franca and the way that Roy views him is two different things.
And it's been that way a lot of times with a lot of guys that have been brought in. I mean, you know, the fanfare that we gave to Max Meyer never got his chance. It just didn't happen. You know, there was a lot of hype around Victor Camarasa under Roy. Yeah, never saw a pitch. Yeah. We don't know if Victor Camarasa was a good or bad player. We really don't, because we never saw him.
Well, we did bits in Spain, didn't he? He went back there and he showed us.
He went back and played really well. You know what I'm saying? But it's just it. And
you don't know how to hate it.
And this is where it's such a. There has to be a harmonious connection between your front office and your managing staff. It has to be, because during the summer when we were looking for players and we're looking to sign people, and you spend 40 million pounds between him and Dean Henderson, there should be an understanding between the coaching staff and between our front office that these guys are coming here to play. If we're going to spend that type of money, they're coming here to play. We're not going to spend
with that, surely,
player and just not play him.
But even with that, surely Steve Parish has had to have turned around to Roy at some point and said, "Hey, Roy, I spent 40 million pounds on these guys. Like, big man, these are our third and fourth most expensive players ever. These are very expensive players I bought here, bro, to take the club to the next level." There has to be something along the lines where Steve Parish is sitting there looking at this thinking, why is this brother not playing these big? Well, Henderson can't be helped the injury. Cool.
But then again, Steve Parish can't do that, AJ. You can't do that because Steve Parish knows all about Roy, and we know about Roy as well. When has Roy really given the youth a chance like that? He has when there's been injuries and Wan-Bissaka got his opportunity like that. But Steve Parish, if he really cared about youth and all this project thing for this season anyways, then he would have have a point.
Once again, harmonious.
But there's no way he's gone out and invested in a player like this and not expected to get some sort of return out of it. Steve Parish is a lot of
season, maybe not for the season. Maybe that was a plan. It's not for the season. Maybe it's a case of bringing him now because there's interest from other clubs, making sure he's in our facilities and in our team, and then let him adapt this year, and then next year he pushes on under a different manager. Maybe that was the case. They just didn't want to lose France, so they didn't want to lose out on an opportunity. Then again, we need, especially as a fan, you want to see results now and players now. And France is meant to be this exciting player. And what else have we got apart from that creativity? We just got Elise. So France being on a pitch or Hamada being on a pitch adds that mix. Teams can have to think about it. Now it's so easy. It's just Elisa that you have to mark out, and then you pretty much stop Palace's attack. But yeah, look, it's an interesting question anyways. Very good question from Chris. Let's move on to Tim's question. What changes that feeling? Playing youngsters wins. What kills that toxic feeling from your view? I think not just playing the youngsters. I think, of course, wins help and the performances. I think if you win, we have sort of performances.
How you're playing matters.
No, I'll tell you what, right? It's one or the other. Because if we were getting the same results we got now, Roy was playing Hamada, Ozo, France, for little half an hour spells, 20-minute spells, and they had the chance to showcase what they can do. I guarantee you nobody would be complaining, or you would have a lot less people complaining because
I agree.
We were seeing some sort of return. But at the same time, if we were winning games and we were, I don't know, let me be a bit more realistic, I don't know, 8th or 7th, nobody's complaining, you know. I would be the first person to be standing here backing Roy if we were 7th right now, playing crap. I wouldn't give a flying crap. Sorry, I had to pause myself a second there. I wouldn't give a flying crap, bro, because at the end of the day, he's getting the results. But the problem is, with that exact question that Tim's dropped there, we've got neither or neither. We haven't got any of the two. Yep. So the problem, that's what's probably generating the toxicity around the club and the fans. If we had one or the other, I'm not sitting there complaining about anything. I'm just going to be like, oh, you know, it would have been nice. We got the result. Oh, but we've got to see Hamada. We've got to see France. We've got to see Ozo. We've got to see, you know, whatever said you've played.
About the future.
The problem is we're playing the stale footballers in the squad. We're not playing exciting football, and we're not even particularly getting the results either. So I've got, going back to even the atmosphere question, on a Saturday or come Wednesday, I've got nothing to look forward to. I'm just going to watch Palace because that's my football club, and that's who I support, and that's who I go and watch. But then there's not really anything else about it. You know, I'm just sort of watching it and fingers crossed, hope for the best. I'd be better off going to play the lottery weekly and, you know, not working and banking on that. You see what I'm saying? It's just we've got neither of the two. If we can get one of the two by, I don't know, January, end of the season, whatever, then the conversation and the narrative changes. But the problem is, because of the way that the narrative is now, this is why I'm struggling to back Roy.
Yeah, look, we're going to wrap up there because we've gone way over time. But thank you to AJ and T for joining me, and also thank you to every single one of you who's watched us live. If you have, and if you're still here, make sure to hit the like button. Let's try and get over 100 likes and subscribe as we're reaching towards a 5K mark. As always, if you're watching a replay, leave down your thoughts in the comment section down below. That's it from me, AJ, and T. And until next time, up the Palace.